When did you first get into racing? And, how did you get into that, working on the race cars and that?
Well, we was doing a lot of street racing with our old cars. I had a 56 Ford Victoria back then. My friend Shelton had a 56 Ford that was well souped up. He could outrun me about half the quarter. And Billy Dugan, he could outrun me maybe a quarter of the quarter. But when I got into the round and round stuff, I met up with Don Ballard, and then we started going out to Meyer Speedway. And then Walter Ballard built a car to race out there. That's why we went out there. He built a car, number 24. It was out of a 38 Ford. And he had a Ford engine in it. He's the first one out there with a Ford engine. And they laughed at him. And then Billy Perrin was racing out there, and Billy Perrin decided to go to NASCAR. And J.H. Rose owned his car, which was a 38 Chevrolet Coupe. It was a real, it was a good built race car and top of the line. So Walter bought the car from him, less the engine, and put a 427 Ford in it. And he got out there and he couldn't handle it at first because he was just starting out and he didn't really know that much, but he wasn't scared of nothing. He would drive it. He would try anyway. So he got George to drive it for him for the rest of the season so he could learn how to drive and how to set it up. So when George took over the car, there was 9 race meets left in the season. And they were all laughing at us for being out there with a Ford. Well, he won all 9 races, bumping the second place car on the rear bumper before the finish of the race at 25 laps. Next year there was 5 Fords out there.
So that's where you got into the racing.
That's where I got into it.
And that's where you met George Nash.
Yeah, I met George Nash, and I met a lot of them drivers out there. Ronnie Chumley, Billy Wade, and I met every one of them, all them old drivers.
And I know you ended up working with Bill Mullins later on.
Yeah, me and Bill Mullins, we built some cars of our own. Went out there. We raced in the Bronco division. And then we raced in the limited sportsmen when they went into NASCAR. And then we built a NASCAR car for short track. It was a '69 Mustang with a 302 Boss in it. And we couldn't get the thing to run worth a flip. It would run, but it didn't have nothing for them other people. So we found a cam for that thing, a roller cam, and put in that thing. Boy, that car come alive. It would run. And we finished 4th in the feature that night with that new cam in it. And he said he could have passed them other cars, but he didn't want to take a chance on bumping them because they was all bumper to bumper. So after that, we did win a few races with it. And then we did put a 351 Cleveland in it, and then it really started going good then.
What was the height on that car?
48 inches from the roof to the floor, to the ground. And the modified that George built, that he drove, with a 427 Ford in it, we won 4 Liberty Bell 300s. Nobody else ever won more than one. First one we won, when we pulled up out there with it on the trailer, it was ugly. I'm telling you, this car was ugly. And everybody called it a metal miscarriage. But when the smoke settled down, we were sitting on the pole. When the race ended, we led all 300 laps of that race and had 11 laps on the second place car. Took 7 minutes and something off the track record, which was 2 hours and 4 minutes. Then the next year, we broke an axle. And we finished 12th sitting in the pits. And we broke the axle with 50 laps to go. And the next year we come out there, we won it by 14 laps on the second place car. And the 4th time we won it in Fred Furlow's number 7 super modified. built by Butcher Brothers out of Mobile, Alabama. And it was a car. I mean, it was a race car. It had in and out box, it had injectors, it had wing on it, only weighed about 1,700 pounds. It had a 350 Chevrolet in it, and it would run.
I would say for me, growing up around racing, being there that evening when that car ran, that for me, that's one of the greatest races I've ever seen ran, and the circumstances that happened in that race.
Yeah, he was involved in a little accident right on the first lap, so they put him dead last. And he come from dead last to first place, I would say, I'm going to say in about 60 laps. He came to first place. He passed people like Hugh Richards and Bill White and a bunch of them other ones that were known to be driving super modifieds. And we did not know it at the time, but this thing had Marsh Minor parallel torsion bars on it. The adjusters was inside the cab with him where he could just reach them. He had put some wrenches down in there, and I almost took them wrenches out before he got on the track and forgot about it. And when he got to first place, he started slacking back and cars started passing him. And you could see him bending over in the car, and he was adjusting those bars, and we didn't know it. When he got them like he wanted it, he left. Had 6 laps on second place car in that race, and he only took over the lead for the final time with about 90 laps gone. So then they had a caution flag at 100 laps, and when he came in, he came on in anyway. We put a sign up and told him to come in because we didn't know, because it was running on alcohol, so we didn't know how it was going to do. And when he came in, we shined the light down in it, and the only thing that car was running on was what was in the injector pumps. Didn't have no fuel in the tank. So we filled it up, he went back out. So Fred Furlow says, we got to stop him again 2 more times before the end of the race. I said, okay. So we set it up where he could come in with about 180, 190 laps and fuel up. And then he says, we'll come in with about 10 or 12 laps left to go in the race and fuel it again. And I said, no. I said, let's bring it in with about 30 laps left to go in the race. That way, if there's anybody running close to him, he can at least make a race out of it to get his place back. He'll have 30 laps to do it in. The first stop you had to make had to be a 30-second mandatory pit stop. After that, you could get in and out just as quick as you could. So we made 3 pit stops that night and still won by 6 laps.
He said one of the greatest races I ever seen run.